whatever it is that has your attention right now, board of advisors and books is a way you can flesh them out if you can't get them in person or get them on the phone or anything. So we make that virtual, this fictitious, so to speak, board of advisors, and we put people on it that are really going to tell you what the hell is going on. You don't want the Kool-Aid man on your board of advisors, because what is he most quoted as saying? He goes, "Oh yeah." You don't want anyone on your team that's all they freaking say. All right, so welcome to another video, everyone. This one is entitled "Your Virtual Board of Advisors and Why You Don't Want the Kool-Aid Man on It." So this one is going to be about having a broad perspective on everything that's going on in your life. And to do so, you want to have what is called a virtual board of advisors. Now, let's back that up just a little bit and go ahead and say you definitely want to have a board of advisors that's not necessarily virtual. A virtual one basically means it can even be like a pretend board of advisors. So you can have people on this that don't either they don't exist or they are dead now, or you don't have access to them even if they are still living. What do I mean by that? You can have, if you want somebody like Abraham Lincoln on your board of advisors, on your virtual board, that's fine. Obviously he is no longer living, so you can't get him in a room in the traditional sense. All right. If you want somebody wise like, I don't know, Master Yoda or somebody on it, that's fine too. But that person was never living in the traditional sense, so it counts as the same. Now, what does this mean? Board of Advisors is basically, especially a virtual one here, is basically one to where you have several people. You can think of y'all sitting around in some sort of executive boardroom or something, to where or to where you have like a big table and you're at the very end of it as the person in charge of making all the decisions, but you have a lot of other people sitting at that table too who you want their opinions on every little thing that happens. Now, you want to have a real one of those, if at all possible. You might not be able to get them all in a room, or in a room at the same time like this. But bear with me here. You want to have, like, a board of advisors for everything in your life. You don't want to be going into everything, or really anything, with nothing, with no understanding or no higher expertise behind you of what's going on. This can be tremendously, enormously helpful in making good decisions. This all goes back to you don't know everything. Nobody does. And to have enough of a humble attitude that you're like, hey, I don't know everything. Let's talk to some people who really understand this. The most successful people in the world, the richest, the best at their careers or their life path, have mentors, boards of advisors for different parts of their life. If you're trying to make a lot of money, you probably want some people on that board who have made a lot of money, or at the very least understand it and the science behind it. So on that board, you would want, let's take for instance, people who, and you can substitute these for anybody, but people like, if you want to change the world and you want to make a lot of money in business or something, you want to have business people on there. People like Warren Buffett, maybe people like Elon Musk, maybe people like Robert Kiyosaki. If you want to go into like real estate or something, Robert Kiyosaki is great. Gary Keller would be great for that. Donald Trump would be great for that. Okay? A lot of you probably don't like somebody like Donald Trump because of his politics. And hey, that's a personal choice. That's great. The fact of the matter is, dude's good at real estate. You can learn some things from people, and then with other things in their life, you're like, you learn what not to do. And that's perfectly fine. So the point of the matter here is when you're talking about any situation and you narrow it to, I want to make more money. All right, well, I want somebody on my personal board of advisors like, I don't know, Tony Robbins, maybe Ray Dalio, maybe, like I said, Warren Buffett or somebody like that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you want people with expertise in that field. Now, this one is specifically about a virtual board of advisors because you are probably not in a position to have any of those people, much less all of them, in a room at the same time. So a virtual board of advisors is you think to yourself, okay, I want to make a lot of money. I don't have access to these hugely successful people in finance and personal and business finance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on my board anyways, and it'll be a virtual one. It'll be a pretend one. It's a fictitious board, and you think about yourself. You sit yourself at the end of that table, and you have everybody else on the board, and you just see them there. Just imagine it. You see those people that you respect in their industries that are going to help you, and you start asking questions. A lot of people forget that life isn't necessarily about having the right answers, but having the right questions. And that's exactly what a board of advisors helps you with. You give them all of your right questions and then see how they respond. If you went to that board and you were like, I want to make $1 million in real estate. What do y'all think I should do? And then you have all of these real estate guys sitting around on your board and they're like, this is what I would do, this is what I do, this is what I would do. What do you think their answers would be? You probably can come up with a few. If you can't, this is how you flesh that board out a little bit more. You read books that those people wrote. Almost all of these people have written books, and multiple ones at that, and they tell you basically all of their secrets in them. And the biggest, pretty much best kept secret is there are no secrets, really, if you just pay attention. People want the answers to be so simple. It's like, oh, talk to this guy, and there you go. You're a made man, you're a millionaire now, and every deal that you ever see is going to be fantastic. That's not usually how it works. The answers are usually like what I'm saying here, like these books behind me. It's like, yeah, you need to get a bunch of books from those people and read them. You need to listen to podcasts that they do. A lot of these people do their own podcasts. They interact with people. You could even comment on their stuff and they might answer you. You can literally get the answers, but it seems too simple for people. And the other thing is it seems too hard. Almost nobody, for whatever reason, is willing to read a bunch of books, listen to these podcasts, because fundamentally they believe that is not really going to work. Think about it. And this is just a little stack of books here, but if I was like, dude, this stack of books here, okay, which may or may not be related to whatever it is that you want going on in your life, but this stack of books here, if you just get every single one of those and read them, maybe read them all twice, then there are your answers, and you will have the answers and the right questions and the right answers to your situation, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be money, right? If somebody told you that, would you do it? Well, of course you would. But nobody does do that because fundamentally they believe that that is not going to get them to where they want to go. You still got to put the work in, but how hard would it be to put the work in if you knew exactly what work to put in? And they tell you in a lot of these books, in their podcasts and whatnot, it's not going to happen overnight. But that's pretty much the answer. But people don't like that answer. They're looking to get rich easy. It's not even quickly. It's easy. They don't want to take a couple of months and read all of these books. They'd rather scroll through their TikToks and Instagrams and things like that because they think that's going to make them more happy. Honestly, think about it. Whatever it is that you're involving yourself in right at any given moment, it must be your fundamental belief that that's the best thing you possibly could be doing, because you wouldn't be doing anything else otherwise. You would not be doing anything else if you did not fundamentally believe that whatever it is you're doing right now is the best thing. Do you see what I'm saying? So, and the brain has ways of tricking you into believing that, oh, well, this is fun. This is the best thing I could be doing. So your board of advisors, man, what is it for you? It doesn't have to be money. It can be people with very successful relationships. It could be people with very high success in working out, improving their body, maybe playing a sport, maybe playing a piano or a instrument. Does that make sense? Maybe getting into philanthropy or something like that. Whatever it is that is on your mind right now, whatever it is that has your attention right now, board of advisors and books is a way you can flesh them out if you can't get them in person or get them on the phone or anything. So we make that virtual, this fictitious, so to speak, board of advisors, and we put people on it that are really going to tell you what the hell is going on with this thing. They're like, okay, so you want to get from here to here and you're starting from here, and you have 5 or 6 extremely intelligent people around you. You don't want just anybody on that board. If you're trying to do pretty much anything, anybody who has success in that are going to be better than your friends, your mommy and daddy, your coworkers, and maybe even other people you admire. You got to find the people you admire that have success in that thing. Your friends, your coworkers, and your family, some of them will have successes and expertise in certain parts of their life, right? That you may want them on your board, but not for everything, and certainly not for something like money or for high success when they haven't achieved anything like that or aren't on the rise. It's one thing if somebody isn't hugely successful in something, but you can tell they're on the rise, they're on their grind, and they do this kind of thing too. Trust me, when people find huge success, no man is an island, right? That is a very, very famous quote from somebody that I would put on my board of advisors. No man is an island, meaning that nobody succeeds because of just their own efforts. They have boards of advisors, and they have people, mentors, and people who help them. Does that make sense? Now, let's talk about why you don't want the Kool-Aid man on your board of advisors. It's not just because this fictitious character doesn't have expertise in anything. He may in making a scene, right? He gets in there and just makes a bunch of people happy with Kool-Aid. I don't know what it is. I mean, and if that's what you're trying to do, then maybe you do want him on your board. But the point of the matter is, I'm saying you don't want the Kool-Aid man on your board of advisors, because what is he most quoted as saying? He goes, oh yeah! You don't want anyone on your team that's all they freaking say. You want people there that are going to give you the straight answer. You don't want to be like, oh, I want to make this investment. It seems like a good one. This dude really needs my help to move some money around. He lives out in Asia or Europe. I've never heard from him before, but apparently he's got like $100 billion, and he'll give me 10 billion of it if I can just move the money and just hold it for him in my bank for just a week or so while he moves it to a different location. And you're like, what do y'all think about that? You're asking your board, and the Kool-Aid man's on there. He's gonna be like, oh yeah! No, you don't want a room full of people that are gonna be like that. That are gonna be like, oh yeah, to everything you say. You don't want a bunch of yes men. That's what that's called, okay? You don't want a bunch of sycophantic suck-ups. Which basically means they're going to follow your lead with everything. Ultimately, yes, it's your choice, and people are going to follow your lead. But you want people on that board that are like, are you out of your mind? You're going to give your banking information to somebody you've never met who sent you an unsolicited email about the billions of dollars or whatever it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be that. It could be like, oh, we're gonna sell you this brand new car that we just bought. A brand new, I don't know, Mercedes S Class. It's beautiful. It's all tricked out. It's supposed to be $150,000, $200,000. We're gonna sell it to you for $40,000. Does that sound like that's even a good idea at all? There's some trick involved. Remember, people always respond to incentives, and unless the person is related to you or in some sort of debt to you, and it doesn't have to be financial. You could have done something awesome for them one time and they're like, look, I don't mind giving you this thing for much cheaper. Unless it's one of those situations, nobody is going to sell you a car for a quarter of the value for no reason. So you gotta ask yourself, the first thing your board of advisors is gonna say is like, so they could get triple that just by trading it in. Why would they offer it to you for so low? And you're like, that is a good question. Remember, this whole channel is about finding not just the right answers, but the right questions to things. It's not always that simple. Obviously, you're not going to get tricked into buying some lemon or getting your credit card scammed or whatever's going on with those kinds of things. I mean, you see them all the time. Like, hey, I got this thing. It doesn't have to be a car. It could be like, hey, I got this beautiful new computer or something that, hey, on the shelf it's $2,000, but I'm going to give it to you for $400. You see them all the time. You can find those kinds of scams and stuff anywhere. But when it comes to high-level stuff, it's not so simple. That's why you need high-level people around you. You might see a bunch of investment properties, and you're like, you don't know as much as some of these other people. So you want to ask a board of advisors, what would you think about that? And then answer that with, what do you think their answers would be? What does somebody like Robert Kiyosaki think about your investment plan in the real estate you're dealing with? What does someone like Gary Keller think? Because they're two really well-known real estate people. There's also people like Dave Ramsey. It doesn't matter, really. I mean, even if you don't know people who are highly successful in those industries, you know people that would at least point you in the right direction. This is what a board of advisors does. And for your life in general, you want everybody on that team. Not everybody. You want every kind of person with high success on your life's board of advisors. Find the entrepreneur who has a lot of money and a lot of success with personal wealth. Put them on that board. Whoever you respect the most. It doesn't matter who it is, as much as it is that you respect them and you can put them on that board. Then you also find the person who you respect the most, who is the best physically, with their physical body, with their eating habits, with their, going to the gym and playing sports and being active and walking their 10 to 20,000 steps a day. You want the person that does that the best in your life, or that you can think of, and put them on that board too. They deserve a seat on your board. No Kool-Aid man. No Kool-Aid men. Unless you are trying to sell some sort of sugary party drink or something like that, which I don't recommend. We have plenty of those. And those are great. They're fun. But as a side note, everybody here needs to obviously know, and your physical person that I just talked about that you're putting on that board, they'd tell you too, like, hey man, you need to understand, soda is essentially candy. All right, you should not be drinking that all the time. Some people drink 3 or 4 sodas a day. You should be drinking 3 or 4 sodas maybe a month. It's candy. It's a dessert. And this is why you want on your team, and diet sodas count as the same. To me, there is no difference between diet and, I don't care what the ingredients say, it isn't good for you, and your people will tell you that too. They're like, nah, you might as well drink the real thing, because diet sodas are loaded with stuff too. And this isn't a discussion about, the food companies and this, and they're doing all this stuff. Yeah, they may be. This is a discussion about being real. And this is what your board of advisors would do. Your health person would be like, hey man, no, you're not going to be drinking soda every single day. You're not going to be drinking. Man, one time I was waiting tables at this restaurant, and this man got no less than 7 refills on his Sprite. So basically, he drank 8 servings of Sprite. And if each one of those is around 200 calories, that's 1,600 calories in nasty for you sugar. And unfortunately, he looked like the sort of individual that does that on a daily basis. 1,600 calories in just sugar. Your health person is going to be like, what the hell are you thinking? You no, right? So you want that person on there. You want your relationship person there. And this isn't just romance, but that too. You want a person who is highly successful in relationships. Who do you know in your life, or that you have seen in media or whatever, who has highly successful success in relationships? A lot of the people who write these books that I'm always advocating on here are actually very successful in relationships, and they get that way by having their own board of advisors on just relationships. All right. So you want a person on there who, it's not in this stack right here. It's somewhere over there. It's out of shot, but there's a book I'm reading right now called Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, I believe it is. This is a man I would want as my relationship person on my team. So you got to find your person who is good at connecting. You know who's really good? Whatever you believe about his politics, Bill Clinton is one of the most fantastic people as far as building relationships and personal connections goes. Okay? We're not talking about his relationship with his wife and his scandal or none of that. The scandal and stuff, it happened because he's good at seducing people. Well, not just women, but men as well. And, like, groups of people. And not just physically or emotionally, but also he seduced the world and became one of the highest offices there has ever been. He was president. Right? And he's a very charismatic person. This is a fantastic person to have on your team when you're talking about that. So on your life board of advisors, you want somebody like that on there too. Every part of your life that is important to you, you should have somebody who is fantastic for. And then you can dial it down further. You can go into relationships. Okay, it's like, in my life in general, my board of advisors, I have these 6 people. But let's target it towards just our relationships. So now instead of just having Bill Clinton, you have him and Keith Ferrazzi. You have someone like Tony Robbins, or somebody who can get on stage and capture the spirits of hundreds of thousands of people. Right? And you want like 6 people of like that thing. If you want somebody who is going to be wise in your life, like I said, Master Yoda is a good one. It doesn't have to be that. It's whoever you think is a very wise person. Maybe the Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa, or it doesn't matter who it is. It's just that you respect them and that they'll give you their honest opinion. And they're not going to be a Kool-Aid man about anything. They're not going to just be like, oh yeah. No, they're going to tell you when you're doing stuff well and when you're doing stuff not well. This is what true growth is. So this is why you must have a virtual board of advisors. It can be, like I said, a fictitious board or one that's make-believe, because most of us, the people we really want on that board, we don't have great access to them, but we do have access to their histories, the books they've written, the podcasts they do, or things like that, or their biographies or their autobiographies and stuff like that. So that's why I'm always saying you should be reading books from the people that you respect. I don't care how hard you think it is. So many people that, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that. Is it worth it to you? It's really not that bad. Even if you read just one book a month, you could read one book a season. That means 4 books a year, and you would still be farther along than probably 90% of the population. I feel like the average person reads 1 or 2 books a year, maybe fewer. There have been years of my life that I've read 0, and that was before I was on any sort of important path, and that's also when I felt like the most shit in my life. So there could be a correlation there. If you read just 1 book every 3 months, you would still be ahead of everybody else. Almost everybody else. Think about it. What do? They go home, they do their social media, they do their Netflix and chill. They play their video games, and all that stuff is great, but it literally it takes almost no effort at all. They say showing up is half of the battle, sometimes more than half. In this case, it's 90% of the battle, and showing up in this case is just reading a damn book. Find one by somebody you respect. If you're somebody that loves sports or something, you love basketball, find a book that's about like Michael Jordan or one of these winning coaches in whatever sport, and read the things they say. You'll be surprised with how interesting it actually is. And you do just 3 or 4 of those a year, you'll be past 90% of people. And if you do one a month, that's 12 a month. That's 12 a year. That's wonderful. That's even better. Try to get to 2 a month too. You don't have to get all the way up there. You don't have to read a whole book in a day or 2 or 3 like some of these people. But I will tell you, the people with the most success, it is pretty much, that is the one thing everybody of huge success all did, is they all read, like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and everybody else that I mentioned here. If not just reading, they wrote their own stuff. So, Board of Advisors, y'all, this is paramount to what is going on here. And this is a bit of a longer video, but I think this is a huge topic. There's so much you could discuss on this topic. Remember, it's not even that hard. Just be like, who are the people I like? Who are the people I want to be more like? Who are the people that have the life I want? And for the things in their life that are working in those areas of my life, I'm going to put them on my board. They got a seat at my table. No Kool-Aid man. All he's going to do is come in there. He's so damn big, you would have to like have the damn meeting inside of him, right? With some scuba gear. He's just gonna take up a lot of space, make a lot of noise, and just basically placate to your every whim. Basically, you come up with the stupidest things, and he's like, hell yeah, or oh yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, you don't want anybody that's like that. So, thank y'all so much for being here for this one, and have a beautiful day.